Hi, my name is Jacob Mahon. I am the lead tech here at Southeastern Equipment Company in Heath. Today we're going to be doing an inspection on a 621G wheel loader. We're going to start with a walk around of the machine. Here at the front of the machine, some things you want to check. The cutting edges on the bucket, you want to check the hardware. You want to make sure there's no broken hardware, no loose hardware, and you want to make sure that the cutting edges are still in good shape. You also want to check out the structure of the bucket. You want to make sure there's no cracks in the welds, anything like that. Coming around the side of the machine, this machine is equipped with a hydraulic quick coupler. So you want to check your coupler cylinder. You want to make sure there's no leaks there. Obviously you want to check your hoses, make sure there's no frays there, there's no loose fittings. You also want to check conditions of the pins. You want to make sure there's no major wear in any of the pins. You want to make sure there is grease on all of them. Continuing a little further up, same thing here. Depending on what type of wheel loader you have, this configuration could be different. But you want to check all your pins and bushings, make sure there's grease on all of them. You want to check your boom and your loader cylinders. You want to make sure that there's no leaks around any of the seals or any of the hoses while you're here at the front of the machine. Another thing you can check while you're up front here, if you look down here, you have your two plugs, your fill and your drain plug on the front axle. You want to make sure everything looks good there, no leaks. You can look out at your wheel ends. You want to make sure that you don't see any leaks coming from the hubs out on either side. You want to make sure your axle hardware where the axle mounts is in good shape, that nothing's loose there. We'll come around. We also want to check the condition of the tire. You want to make sure it's in good shape, and you want to make sure that it's properly inflated. So you can, if you have an air gauge with you, you can check the tire pressure, reference the manual for the pressures on that. But you just want to make sure there's no gouges out of the tire, that there's still good tread on the tire. And you also want to check your wheel hardware. You want to make sure that none of the hardware is loose or broken. If so, that's going to park the machine till that gets fixed. You want to make sure that your fenders, I've seen before where the fender brackets will bend and they'll get into the tire. So you want to make sure that the fenders are in good shape. There's nothing there you have to worry about. If you come here into the center of the machine, there's quite a bit of stuff here that we can look at. So you want to get in there, you want to make sure that none of the hoses coming off the transmission or the main control valve in the front of the machine are leaking. You want to make sure none of them are contacting the drive line. You also want to check your steering cylinders. There's one here and one on the other side. Make sure there's no leaking around the packing on the cylinders. And then you can also check the center bearing of the machine. So it's kind of hard by yourself to check this, but you could see if there was obvious wear on the pin. So you just want to make sure everything looks good there and that it's well greased. Moving down, you want to check the drive line. You can actually grab the drive line and you can try and move it around. If there is any play in that drive line, that's something you want to address immediately. You want to check the park brake, make sure that the caliper on the park brake looks okay, there's no oil there. You can also look and see if the transmission filter has any leaks around it. It's real easy to see at this point. One thing to look for is you want to ensure that your loader lock is still here. You want to loosen this screw often. I've seen where these will actually become bound up and you won't be able to use them. So every now and again you want to take this screw loose, make sure that it's not rusted in place. Continuing on, you want to check your steps, make sure none of the hardware is missing on the steps. Make sure your belts here on the bottom step are in good shape. Same as the front fender with the rear fender, these are a little more stout, but you want to make sure that they're not bent digging into the tire. Again, check tire pressure, condition, and wheel bolt. Make sure that they're all there. Moving to the rear of the machine, some machines are optioned with drains on the outside. So this machine does not have that. If they are, you want to check that and make sure that none of those fittings have came loose and none of them are leaking. Here on this size wheel loader, we have an electric hood lift. So make sure your disconnect's on and we're going to go ahead and raise the hood. Okay, once the hood is raised, we can actually remove the airbox lid and we'll check the filter here, make sure that the filter is in good shape, make sure it's in there. Some other things to look at while you're on this side of the machine. All intake clamps, you want to make sure those are tight. You want to check your connections on any of the sensors, make sure they're good. Your charge air pipes, you want to make sure that they're in good shape, nothing's leaking there, clamps are tight. You want to make sure that there's no coolant or oil leaking around the turbo actuator while you're here. And also you can see the fan pretty good from this point. The fan is hydraulically driven on this machine, so no worry for a belt there, but you want to make sure the fan is not contacting anything, and make sure that all the blades are in good shape. Also, while we're on this side of the machine, you can see here's our coolant reservoir. You can check that to make sure that the reservoir is full. While we're over here on this side of the machine, it's a little hard to see because there is a belt guard here, but if you look in from this direction, you can see the belt. You want to check, make sure that there's no cuts, cracks, or frays in the belt. If there is, that's something we need to address. We'll continue on around the rear of the machine. One good thing to check, I have seen these counterweight bolts in some extreme applications where it's solid tires or whatnot, that they can come loose. So make sure that these counterweight bolts are tight. On this side of the engine here, we have both of our fuel filters. You want to check and make sure that your fuel filters are not leaking. You want to check for any leaks around your coolant hoses here by the DEF pump. Check your DEF pump, make sure you don't see any crystallized DEF. Again, here's another charge air pipe. You want to make sure that's good. And then down here, we actually have a leak on this machine that appears to be coming from the charge pump there and leaking down in the fuel tank. So that's one thing you want to look for. Anything like that, any hoses that could be loose causing a leak under the hood. So we'll keep moving around the side of the machine. On this side, just like the other side, you want to check condition on the tire, you want to check the wheel bolts, check the fenders. This side of the machine, your washer fluid reservoir is over here, so you can check and make sure that washer fluid is full. And then you also have this compartment on the outside that, depending on your option of machine, will have your cab air filters here. They do have different air filters depending on the option, but you can pull these out and make sure the cab air filters look okay. Moving on, we already did our inspection here in the center of the machine. You can come over and check this steering cylinder as well, make sure everything's good there, there's no leaks. And same on this side with the tire, the fender, and the wheel bolts. You want to make sure everything looks good there. Once you do your walk around and everything looks okay, we want to check the engine oil level and coolant level while we're outside, and then we can go in the cab and do our operational checks. Okay, we're going to check the oil level now. On this machine, the dipstick's just right here on the passenger side of the machine. Oil level is good, so we are good to run the machine. But something I noticed while I was doing the walk around is we actually have a fuel leak on the bottom of the fuel tank here. So this is not going to keep us from operating it right now. But this is something you definitely want to put down and get checked out as soon as possible. Before we enter the machine and start it up, we're going to do a check on the hydraulic oil level. So with the wheel loader, you want to make sure that the bucket is on the ground and flat, and then you want to come back here and look at your sight glass. So your oil level should be in the middle of the two black lines in the sight glass. So we are plenty good here. We're going to hop up in the machine, we'll start it up, we'll turn our lights on, we'll check all of our lights, and then we'll also do our transmission oil level check. Once you get in the cab, you want to start the engine. While the engine and hydraulics are warming up, you can go around and check all your switches inside of the cab, check all your functions. Once that's done, we'll turn the light switch on, we'll get out, we'll check the lights and the transmission oil level. With the machine running and up to temperature, you can now get down and check your transmission oil level. So on this machine, your oil level is checked with the engine running and the transmission in neutral, park brake set, and you can see your oil level right there. Now that we've got our transmission fluid level checked, we can go around and we can check all of our work lights. So here in the front, you can see our 4 corner strobes are working properly, all 4 of our upper work lights, and then our 2 lower cab work lights are working properly. We check condition of the mirror, make sure our mirrors are in good shape. This one is here on this side, and we actually have our 4 corner strobe and our work lights on the rear working properly. And then as we come to the rear of the machine, we can see that our rear markers are also working properly. While you're back here, one thing to note, if you are roading the machine, you have a license plate, you do want to check and make sure that the license plate light is operating properly, and it is on this machine. While you're back here, you can also listen for any noises you might hear coming from the engine, anything abnormal that would tell you that you should stop here. As we continue around the machine, we'll check the mirror on this side. We can see that the mirror on this side is just fine. So with everything, our lights, our mirrors, no abnormal noises, we can get in the cab and do our operational checks. One common problem that I see with the wheel loaders, people don't normally think about the park brake and how it operates. So this has a disc on the drive line and a caliper that squeezes that disc when your park brake's set. So one thing I like to do, I like to find an incline whenever I'm checking the park brake, put the transmission in neutral, set the park brake, and let off the service brake. If the machine holds, then the park brake's working as it should. If the machine continues to roll backwards when you do that, you need to get the machine in and have the park brake serviced immediately. Now that we've completed the inspection on this 621G, we did find a couple small leaks that would need to be addressed. If you find anything with your equipment when doing your inspection and you need parts and service help, reach out to us at any of our branches in Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and Kentucky.